Ms. Brugger, you are here to prove to the defendant that your son, Parrish Brooks Jr., was fathered by the defendant's grandson, who was tragically killed 2 months ago in an auto accident. Now, Ms. Warner, you are here with your granddaughter, and you don't believe Parrish Jr. is your great-grandson.
No, Your Honor.
You say the plaintiff has dragged you to court today because she wants in on your family's land and oil trust.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you claim your granddaughter knows for a fact your grandson was sterile.
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you believe Ms. Brugger's motives actually are?
Money, gold digger. Right after Parrish got killed, she went for Social Security. And Parrish, I know Parrish had told her about the land we had in Texas. You know, she was just trying to cash in on him, and she wanted a father for her girls.
Ms. Brugger, you say he is in fact your child's father.
Yes, he's my son's father. We live together, everything, we're in a relationship. He asked me to marry him. That is my son's father. He never denied my son, so I don't see why they are. And the fact that they're saying he was sterile, he was never told by a doctor. That was just him because he never had a child.
Me and Parrish clearly had a conversation before he passed that he wasn't sure.
And so when you say he wasn't sure, what did he say?
Because he was just like, Chaz, I don't even think I can have kids. All he wanted his whole life was a baby. And then he gets with Rochelle, and then she comes pregnant like a month or 2 later. He didn't even think that he could have kids.
Excuse me, I have to say something. They wasn't together when Parrish was deceased. He had another girlfriend. They was not together.
We weren't together when
I had to tell you.
died, no.
No, you guys
But-
wasn't together.
That's what
I
she
just said
said,
that.
ma'am.
Okay.
We lived together. We were a family. He told everyone my girls were his stepdaughters. He called them his stepdaughters, everything. He was there through my whole pregnancy, all the doctor's appointments, everything.
And when you had the baby, was he at the hospital?
No, he couldn't be there, but as soon as he got out, he was adamant about having the hospital hold on to the birth certificate before they turned it in so that he could sign it.
So
As
do
soon
you
as he
have
came
proof of
home.
that?
Yes.
Ms. Brugger, explain to me, this is actually a voluntary acknowledgement of paternity that
Yes, ma'am.
Parrish Sr. signed.
Yes, Your Honor.
He acknowledged paternity.
Yes.
I am the legal father. You have this in writing, this is his signature.
Yes, Your Honor.
While you were in this relationship, he's
Excuse
going
me,
to
Your
doctor's
Honor.
appointments with you, and he's excited about the baby and calling your girls his stepchildren. Is he expressing any of this excitement, Ms. Warner, Ms. Beasley, to you that I'm having a child, I believe it's mine?
Yes, Your Honor. Our kid.
But you just don't believe it is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You had a shower?
I had a baby shower, yes.
Did you attend, Ms. Warner, Ms. Beasley?
No,
were you
I
a part of that?
didn't do anything.
I was, Your Honor.
You did?
Yeah, I did go because of Parrish. Parrish was alive then. That was his baby. But to me, that's not his child. He loved the baby, Your Honor, but the baby doesn't even look like him. He doesn't act like him. His forehead's not like, there's nothing about him to tell me that that is my grandson. The baby,
My son looks,
no, he doesn't.
around his
Where?
eyes, he looks just like him.
No,
He looks like his
that's not-
grandpa.
No, that's not his grandpa. His grandpa ain't never did nothing for Parrish. I don't know what, no. Well,
That's what y'all say.
She
Since my
raised
son
him.
has been born,
I raised Parrish.
since my son has been born, the whole time I was with Parrish in a relationship, he's been the one that's been around. I invited them to my son's first birthday party. They didn't show up.
That's not my son. That's why I didn't show
And
up.
if y'all felt this way about my son, why did y'all never
Because I
say
love
nothing
Parrish
when
so
he was
much.
born?
I loved Parrish.
Or when his father was alive?
I love
It was
Parrish,
never
and I
a
wasn't.
question.
Parrish is no longer here. He's no longer here now.
But if y'all
So I
felt
can
that this was
defend
not
that.
his
I can
son,
defend that
why
now.
wouldn't you say something when he was alive or when my son was born?
Because I wasn't going to hurt Parrish. Parrish wanted the baby so
they've
bad.
never been around
So
my
wait, what I'm trying to understand from the situation, Ms. Warner, is all this time, even when the baby was there, did you have doubts about
Yes,
the
Your Honor,
paternity as
but I
you were
wasn't
there?
going to say anything with
You
Parrish.
just
I wasn't
didn't
gonna
want
say
to
anything.
upset Parrish.
No, I did
Sr.
not want to come between Parrish and that baby. But now Parrish is no longer. I can say my piece now.
And the real truth is, you were his grandmother, but you raised him. He was really like a son to you.
Your Honor, his mother died in '85. I'm the only person was there for Parrish. That's why I just couldn't hurt him because of this baby. He didn't have a family. His dad over there didn't ever come by. Yeah, you.
come on now with never.
Well,
Come on now.
It seemed like never.
Come on now.
It seemed like
You know
never.
what?
Get some
As
order.
quiet
Let's
as
get
it's
some
kept,
order.
me and
You
him had
never
a
did
better
do nothing.
relationship than y'all did.
Because he
No,
didn't
you
live with
didn't.
you.
All right, let's
What did
get some order. Let's get some order. In your court papers, Ms. Brugger, you say that his family didn't even tell you when he passed away. Is that true?
Yes. I got a phone call from one of my friends that seen it on Facebook. They had just found out that morning too. But you would think me
What was
having
I'm
his own
grieving?
child
That was my
they would-
son. I didn't have time
One
to
of my
call
friends
nobody.
seen it on
Rochelle,
Facebook
you have
and
to
called me.
understand
They
where
didn't
she's
even call
coming
his
from.
father and let his own father know.
They
I'm the one
found
that
it out.
called him.
Excuse me, Your Honor. They found it out on Facebook.
Someone else called the coroner's office. They released all of his information. So when I'm looking at Facebook at like 5 o'clock in the morning going to work, I see it. I call my grandmother. Grandma, have you heard anything about Parrish? I had just talked to Parrish the Friday that he died at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
They weren't in a relationship at the time.
And
they
so-
were together.
I still have his son.
Well, but you guys,
We don't
well,
have
I
to
was
be together
grieving at the time.
for me
I
to
was-
know I'm still stuck having to raise our son by myself.
Well,
His father's
ask him.
not
He-
here.
that-
So if
I-
you
I
really
raised
cared about your
Parrish.
grandson,
I've
and
raised-
you know that he said this was his son and he loved him very much.
And that's why she's here
Wouldn't
today,
you want
to
his
figure
son
it
to
out.
know that he
That's
no
why I'm
longer
here
has a
today.
father?
That's why I'm here.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
Parrish felt that she used to have some dude come over to the house whose hair she was always doing.
Your Honor, I
never
have
got
a degree
paid
in
for it. Parrish
cosmetology.
didn't like that because
Right.
he would call my grandmother and clearly stated to her.
He's
He's told me plenty of times that Rochelle was broken, that she was tainted, and that's why he had to get out of the situation.
So when you would talk to Parrish, Ms. Warner, he was saying he needed to get out of the situation.
He was saying
with Ms.
she's
Brugger?
broken, Grandma. I cannot fix her. He says she's crazy, Grandma. This guy keeps coming over there and doing her hair. And she's not even getting paid for doing his hair.
So
What
a
is he
man
doing
would
over
just
there?
come over to the house and get his hair done.
Right, and she wouldn't even accept any money. This is what he told me out of his mouth, Your Honor. This is just some
So
of the things.
he was intimating that he maybe thought she was cheating with this guy.
Yeah, he'd come home and the guy was there. And
Who is this guy?
I
Ms.
don't know.
Brugger? You
I
just
don't
had a
know.
guy over to the house doing
Your
his
Honor,
hair?
first of all, I have a degree in cosmetology, so I do hair. When me and Parrish first got together, there's a guy I've known for years. He's my brother's friend. I've been doing his hair for years. It happened one time I was doing his hair. Parrish came home. He got mad about it. I stopped doing his hair. He never came back over again to get his hair done.
And then, Your Honor, there was also times when Parrish would call my grandmother that Rochelle wasn't picking him up from work. He was late to picking her up, and she couldn't explain to him on why all that was happening. There was times when she kicked Parrish out. He came to my grandmother's house. She had to give him money to stay at a hotel room.
Your Honor, the only time he was staying at a hotel was after he was gone out of my house. The girlfriend he had after me, they lived in a hotel. When he was living with me, we lived together. We had a house.
Your
It was
Honor, but
my
you
house.
put him out.
I
Yeah,
put
he
him
did
out
leave you.
because he
From
was not
my
making
concern,
right
he left you.
choices. So I had to make a choice to protect my children and put them first. And if you are grown, you need to be a man and do what you need to do. We trusted you with my son when he was like 2 to 3 months.
But he's growing-
She did not feed my son all night.
No,
it's not that
that
you
didn't.
feed
It
him.
didn't go like that. Don't
She
say
brought
that.
him home
They didn't.
in a car seat without him being strapped in.
You are,
The
no.
seatbelt was over the car seat and the car seat was turned backwards.
Your
and
Honor,
Parrish
that is
was
a lie.
even
I'm
mad, and
sorry.
he said
I have
in.
to tell you that. Let
He
me
would never
explain
let her
my side.
keep our son.
No,
until
what
he was
happened
old enough
was
That was.
to
I'll
talk
tell
and
you
pick
what
up the
happened.
phone on his own.
What happened now?
my grandmother was under the impression that baby Parrish was on breast milk.
I'm a great grandmother. I'm not, so I didn't know this up-to-date stuff. And they brought him a bottle. They told me to feed him. And I left, he wouldn't take the bottle. I left it out. I tried to call them all night long. I was paging them. Nobody would answer the phone.
She didn't
Finally,
call
I
my
put the
phone.
baby
She
in
called
the car, and I took him over to the house. They didn't want to come to the door. I was panicking because I wasn't used to keeping little babies. And that was it. I didn't
And
know
when you were
had to
trying
feed
to
them.
give him the milk, he didn't want to take it.
Right, and then
so
he
you thought
started
it was
doing-
because he wanted
Yes,
his
Your Honor.
mother.
Yes,
so
Your Honor.
okay.
Okay, I have a question though, Rochelle. If it comes back and that is his, is my
It is
grandma
his.
even gonna be able to see the baby?
You cannot.
You
take
act
him-
so funny. You
Right.
act so
She
funny
wanted-
with
I'm
him.
so funny, but
But
why
you act
weren't y'all
so
at the
funny
ba-
with
why
him.
weren't y'all at the baby
I wasn't
shower?
there because my 1-year-old
And the
was
birthday.
sick.
I
That's
invited
why.
you
and
to
I
his
talked
birthday,
to you. And what did
and
I
you
tell
didn't
you?
show up.
And what
So
did I
how
tell you?
are you guys
So I'm
gonna
gonna
say
bring another
that I
baby.
don't invite you guys?
I'm done.
Did
I
you
did
guys
come.
ever come to my
I
house
come.
to see him?
I
You
did.
came a couple
Yes,
times.
I
You
No, I
never
didn't.
did.
I have my own kid. Let's just
And
be real
parents,
about it.
but how
I
many
have my
times
own. So no, I didn't come.
I have mine.
Okay.
I have my own
I'm
kids.
asking
I
for my
still
grandma.
packed up my kids.
My
and
grandma
went
cares
to her
about
house.
him. Parrish cared about him. I'm asking for him.
She has came to my house.
Yes.
To see my son. Like maybe 3 times, 4. Every time they have seen my son, me and Parrish packed all the kids up and we had to go to their house. After my son was born, my family was at the house all the time coming to see the baby to the point where we're like, oh my God, go home so we get some rest. He was mad because he felt they were not embracing the fact that he finally did have a kid.
And I
They
can
weren't
see
coming
that
over to
hurts
see the
you
baby.
because you remember that it hurt him.
He was like, you know, I thought I couldn't have kids for all these years. Now I have this son, and they're not embracing it. However they feel about me, feel how you feel about me. But them trying to keep the ashes from my son, if my son is entitled to
I don't even have the
money,
ashes.
anything that he should be entitled to,
Your Honor, that's why
they're
we
not,
here.
when they
That's
keep
why
the
we're
stuff,
here.
it's not hurting me.
Ms. Brugger, they were clear. They think you are just interested in the money.
The money doesn't come to me. The money will go in an account in a trust fund for my son. It doesn't come to me.
Okay. I'd like to hear from your witness at this time. Sir, would you please stand up at the podium?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name for the court.
My name is Claiborne Harvey Jr.,
And Mr. Harvey, you are,
Parrish's father and Parrish Jr.'s grandfather.
and what would you like to add to this situation?
All I want to say, first of all, is we're not here to assassinate each other's character. And I will admit that I was not there as much as I could have been for Parrish.
Okay, well,
You know?
right.
But they didn't say nothing about the part where I tried to get custody of my son Parrish when he was a baby, when his mama was out in the streets doing things that she wasn't supposed to be doing.
Okay, don't even go there.
I'm
right,
not
well,
going
that's
there. I'm
fine.
just saying. I
Please
tried to
don't
get
go.
custody.
He doesn't have him. I
I
don't
tried
have
to
my
get
daughter,
custody.
and now I don't
I
have
tried
my
to
son.
get custody.
Don't try to go. Don't go
You
there.
know I loved her daughter, so don't even go there with
Don't
that
go
fake
there.
crocodile
Family.
tears.
Don't go there.
Them fake crocodile. You know where the tears
Family,
at?
I need you to bring it down. I know this is an emotional time. I know it. I'd like for you, Mr. Harvey, to testify as to why you are so certain that Parrish Jr. is in fact your son's son.
He was proud of his son. He told me that was his son. The boy got a little bit of me in him. He looks like me sometimes.
Your Honor, we just want to make sure that little Parrish is Parrish's.
And to be clear, your doubt is rooted in him possibly being sterile
And then it's just he just looks nothing like him. Like
and the lack of
I used
family
to joke.
resemblance.
Yeah, and I always used to joke with Parrish like, no, he's too cute to be your baby. Like me and him always joked around like that.
You know, I still love my son, even though he's not here. I love him to death. We shouldn't even been here. That's his son.
He would not have wanted this. That's why she never said nothing while he was alive, because he told everyone this is his son. If it wasn't for him, my son would not have been named Parrish. He was adamant about him being named Parrish Jr.
He should be. He's
So
thinking
if
it's his
he
firstborn.
didn't
He
deny
should have
him,
been.
there's no reason for you guys to. You guys
Yes.
have no legitimate reason to say
Yes,
this
that
is not your
was.
son.
Yes, it is.
And then it just goes to like you low-key manipulated him with the baby. And then it goes
He's
to that.
a grown man. There's no way I could
You did.
manipulate
You
someone.
did.
Okay.
You did.
The only way to move forward, I think, is to get the results. Jerome, may I have the envelope, please? Before I read the result, I just want to be clear that in order to determine if Parrish Brooks Jr. is the child of Parrish Brooks Sr., the deceased, we performed a grandparentage DNA test. We fortunately had Claiborne Harvey's DNA. The results will determine if there is a viable relationship between the child, Parrish Brooks Jr., and the grandfather, Claiborne Harvey. Are we clear about that?
Yes.
Okay. In the case of Brugger versus Warner, when it comes to 1-year-old Parrish Brooks Jr., it has been determined by this court, Mr. Harvey is related to Parrish Brooks Jr., therefore Parrish Brooks Sr. is also related to Parrish Brooks Jr.
Okay, I owe you an apology.
Something we already knew.
I owe you an apology.
Something we already knew.
Well,
Grandma
now I'm
didn't know.
sure.
Okay.
You had no reason to be unsure.
I'm sure.
And so for this child's sake, let's start new. The truth is always a great starting point.
Yes, Your Honor.
And even though you knew it, Miss Brugger, and even though you felt like you knew it, Mr. Harvey, without a doubt,
I knew
the
it.
point is they didn't have that clarity.
No.
And you can blame them for it for the rest of the child's life and affect the child's life, or you can forgive them and move on from it so that you all can positively affect the child's life. Do you get it? Mrs. Gamboa, you say you're fed up with your husband because he's repeatedly accused you of cheating, even with the babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you're here today to set things straight because you say his doubt about paternity has led to the emotional neglect of your 1-year-old son, Dominic.
That's right, Your Honor.
Mr. Gamboa, you argue you'll be crushed if you find out Dominic is not your biological son today, but claim he does indeed look like your former babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say Mrs. Gamboa is lying about
Your Honor.
cheating. So, Ms. Gamboa, did you cheat on your husband with the babysitter?
No, Your Honor. The babysitter was in the bed at the time that Mr. Gamboa came home, but I did not cheat
Honor.
on him.
Oh, wait a minute. The babysitter was in the bed?
Yes, on top of the bed.
That's on the bed. Mr. Gamboa, you saw the babysitter
No.
on your bed?
I was at work, Your Honor, and I got a phone call because we're all living in the same house. My stepfather had called me saying that the babysitter was asleep in my room on the floor with the door shut with my wife in there.
The door wasn't shut, Your Honor.
She said he was on the bed.
Well, when I had got home that morning, he was on the bed.
The door wasn't shut, Your Honor. His stepfather doesn't like me to begin with, and Mr. Gamboa knew he was in the room, and he only slept on the floor. When he came home, I was not in the room when he came home. I was in the living room watching TV, and he came home, and our babysitter was
Well,
sitting
Your
on
Honor,
the bed.
Well, I was working a graveyard shift, so I mean, she would be up by the time I'd be home, so how would I know if she was in the bed with the babysitter?
Because we've been together for so long, you should know that I wouldn't do that to you.
You're lying, stop.
So hold on. So you working a graveyard
Yeah.
shift all night?
Yes, and we have a 4-bedroom house, so I mean, the babysitter could have slept in the other room with his kids where they were at.
We had 8 kids in there. There were 8 children in the room. My 5, his 2, and my niece at the time.
Well, don't you think it would make sense for you to bring our kids into the bedroom where we sleep and let him sleep in the other room with his kids?
So you have a male babysitter.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. However, Ms. Gamboa, I need you to elaborate a bit for the court. Why make that choice? Why is a male babysitter really in your room at all?
The thing happened was the male babysitter was his decision in the first place. It was a mutual friend of ours
And we
that
had,
he knew
you said
more
that
than
we
I
had
did.
discussed. Doesn't
and
mean
then
that
he was not
he can
living
come
with
into the
us
room
at
and
the time.
sleep.
He was not living with us at the time. And Mr. Gamboa offered him to stay with us because he was homeless with his 2 children.
No, we had
So you
both
took in
discussed.
his children.
Right, and ever since then, it's been a living hell for me. I regret it. I regret it till this day. I tried to help a friend out, and I ended up
Well, it seemed
paying
like
for it
every-
with this.
So, Mr. Gamboa, you say point blank that you think this child, Dominic, looks like the babysitter.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Your Honor,
So-
Dominic looks just like his father. He has the same dimple as our other son. That he looks just like him, and then he walks like him.
I
He
mean,
has
the
same,
babysitter walks like me too, and
No, he
look at the
doesn't.
back of his
No,
head.
he
The
doesn't.
babysitter
No, he
walks
doesn't.
like you?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. And the back, I mean, the back shape of his head too looks just like the babysitter's.
He looks just like his dad. He has the same bump in the back of his head. He has the same birthmark on the same arm as our
Your
other
Honor,
son. He has the same
Your Honor,
dimple
when
on the
when I
same
was
cheek
younger,
as our other son.
I had severe mumps, a case of severe mumps at teenage age, which you could incur for infertility. And I was previously with my ex for about 5 years, and I could not conceive with her at all.
So you were under the impression that there was a very good chance that you could possibly have issues
Yes,
conceiving a
Your Honor.
child with a woman because
why
of
did
having.
he did not deny our first son and only Dominic? If that was the case, he shouldn't deny our only Dominic and not our first son.
Well, Your Honor, when we conceived our first son, we were all living with her ex. We're all living in one house. So I mean.
Right, and he knew about it.
All of you all were living in one house.
When we first got together, we were in high school or junior high sweethearts.
So if I couldn't conceive with my first wife, and then all of a sudden
together,
I conceived my first son, or I mean,
so you have
questions? Why wouldn't there be doubts about Dominic, especially if the male babysitter's sleeping in the room with my wife?
But if that's the case, then there should be doubts about our first son because my ex was living in the home.
So let me ask you this. How has this doubt affected your connection with Dominic, Mr. Gamboa?
I mean,
have you bonded with the child?
No, I haven't.
You have not?
I have not bonded with the child. He's
a year-old, handsome young man.
He's mostly with his mom. He will not come to me. He cries. He throws a fit.
Your Honor, I brought video of it. He doesn't bond with him. He doesn't do anything with him. And now, even now, like, he doesn't. He don't change the diaper. He don't pick him up. He don't do nothing.
At the time with our first son, I was always.
Okay, just one moment. Let me first look at the pictures you've presented to the court.
That is Dominic at 1 year old. And that's Mr. Gamboa around 6 months old.
And you say you see a striking resemblance.
I wasn't always home. I was always working 12, 15-hour shifts, working graveyard shifts. She was always having the babysitter around.
That doesn't mean I'm cheating on you. That doesn't
when someone
mean I'm cheating on you. If you're working, you should trust your wife.
I mean, when somebody has a set of keys to your apartments and he's snapping photos saying that this is his house and wanting to.
But that's
the babysitter was doing that?
Yes.
Right. Your Honor, I strongly believe that our babysitter was trying to mess up our marriage. Because at the end of this whole situation, our babysitter, when we kicked him out, he had no place to go. He went to Mr. Gamboa, oh, you should leave her and let's get a house together. And then he would come to me behind his back and be like, oh, let's leave him. He's no good for you.
He was snapping photos
we should get a house together.
You all are the epitome of messy.
I found out on MySpace.
Okay, I want to get back to Dominic because ultimately I want to hear how this young child, this young innocent child has been affected because of this. These are choices you all have made.
Your Honor, when I was in the hospital, when I gave birth to Dominic, Mr. Gamboa was there 13 hours throughout my pain, suffering, everything. He cut the umbilical cord, gave him a kiss, took pictures with him. 20 minutes after I gave birth to Dominic, he left, gave me a kiss saying he was gonna go get clothes and come back because I was in a lot of pain when I had Dominic. He never came back for 2 days, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor, I had work. I still had to go to work. I didn't take the
That's a lie.
I didn't have
That's a lie.
Act.
That's a lie.
I still had to pay bills.
But you say I'm gonna go home and get some clothes and you never come back? I mean, you don't tell a woman in a hospital, I've been in the hospital and just had a baby. I wish my husband would say he was about to leave somewhere and come right back and didn't come back for 2 days. We're gonna have us a problem.
Your Honor, I couldn't get a hold of him.
You don't come back for 2 days and you say you sent someone to pick her up because you had to work, but you worked graveyard, so where were you all day?
I did pick her up. I had other business to handle.
No.
So is the reason
what other business is there than your son?
Then your son.
Exactly.
A roof over your head.
So my question is, was there a part of you that got out of those hospital doors and start replaying over and over again, is this or is this not my son?
Yes, Your Honor, because there's always that simple fact that you want to bond with the child, because my first child with her, I had the time to bond with him.
And you should have been there to bond with him. You shouldn't have.
Well, I had to work. Who's gonna put a roof?
You didn't go to work. You didn't go to work. Tell the truth.
First of all, I'm a man for. I take care of all 6 of her children.
I got out Monday morning. He did not go to work. I called his phone. I called his parents.
Yes, I did go to work. I had hours to prove for it.
At the first day, I was supposed to go home, and he had jaundice, and I had to stay there. And I called him, scared out of my mind, to help me with him, and he wouldn't come.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
No,
my mother had got a hold of me, and I showed up.
The next day when I was getting released.
And I showed up. My mother had called me. Even my mother knew I was at work, working, taking care of business.
No, you were not at work. You came the next day when I was released. We were taking photos of Dominic in the phone. He didn't even want to get in the photo.
And I was there for the photos because
really?
He did not want to get in the photo.
You didn't want to take a picture with the brand new, beautiful baby that could be yours because you had that much doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this
When
doubt.
someone's sleeping in your room, when it's not your kids, when she had the option of bringing our kids into the room and sending him with his kids in the other room, I mean, that would cause doubt.
Look.
And your stepfather calling you saying there's another man in your room, I mean, come
Our
on.
babysitter texted him and
How
told
would
him
she
he was
feel
asking.
if we had
The babysitter told me that it was Mr. Gamboa specifically said it was okay for him to stay in the room.
I would
on the
never
floor.
say that would be okay. How was she like in her footsteps if we had a female babysitter?
Ms. Gamboa, I don't believe that for a minute. I don't know any man that's gonna tell another man that it's okay for you to sleep in the room with my wife when I have, what, 4 other bedrooms?
Your Honor, I would not.
2 of them were occupied and the kids were sleeping all in the other room.
But Mr. Gamboa, your husband has a good point. Even if
I know, I admit that.
just get your children, bring them into your room, and then the babysitter and they can have the other room.
That's what
Honor, you know, I know.
And that's what I said. I admit that. I made the big mistake of trusting our babysitter to know that he would
Your Honor,
not
I
lie
know
about
how-
it, and I made that mistake, and I'm living through it now.
Your
and
Honor,
my
you
son
know-
Dominic's living through it now.
Because
over
you
that.
feel like ultimately Dominic is suffering because
Yes.
he has no bond with his father, the man you believe to be his father.
Yes.
Your Honor, you know, I know.
I mean,
How
if you look at
does
the
he
video
treat
I
him
brought, If you
differently?
look at the video I brought, you can clearly see the damage is done to Dominic.
You submitted video to the court.
Yes, I did.
And if we
Your
had a
Honor.
female babysitter and she ended up pregnant,
I need you to
and she was
describe
sleeping in the
this
same room,
video
you would have the
for
same
me.
feeling.
Right here, this is Mr. Gamboa and Dominic on the video. Okay? Okay, that's your son. Go get him. Like, what the heck? You walked away. You turned your back on him.
I've never turned my back
You
on
just
I've
turned your
taken
back.
care of him.
Now he's climbing. Okay, that's climbing. If it was our other son, he would automatically just grab him.
Mr. Gamboa, you're not
He's not
lending any type of assistance.
no concern.
It's hard.
whatsoever.
And that's a
Look at-
concrete
look at-
part.
Grab him.
No.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Gamboa, you've admitted that you have not bonded truly with
Yes, Your Honor.
Dominic.
I have not bonded.
And when I'm looking at that picture as a parent, I mean, my instinct is to reach out because that's
Yes.
what parents do. Your child,
When your son's
And Your
running
Honor,
away, you
I've-
don't turn your back on him. You don't turn
Honor,
your
I mean,
back.
when
don't
they
you
get
think-
5 feet
it would
on you,
make
you're
me feel
going to
bad.
grab
I've taken
them.
care of
Right.
4 other children that aren't even mine. And I take
But
care
I
of all
don't
of
see
them.
4 other children in that video.
Exactly.
Right, but this is about Dominic, and you treat Dominic the same way you treat the other 4, as if he's not his. He financially
How is that?
there. Financially, he is there 100% there, supporting me, myself, my children, Dominic, and my other son. But when it comes to emotionally support, he is not there. He is not there.
So, Ms.
How-
Gamboa, you also submitted a second video.
Yes, Your Honor.
And please describe what this video shows.
This video right here is my everyday life, pretty much. I try to give him to Mr. Gamboa. He
And
doesn't
that's how
want
I
to go.
feel like he's not even my
He doesn't
son.
want to
He
go.
doesn't want to come near me.
He will not go.
Oh.
How do I know she's not spending
This
time-
is my everyday life. When it comes for him being tired or going to sleep, I put him to sleep. I cuddle him, I wrap him, I make sure he goes to sleep. He will not go to
Your Honor,
Mr.
if
Gamboa.
I was to find out Dominic wasn't mine, I'd be crushed. I want to grow a relationship with him, like.
Then you should have bonded with him from day
He
one.
is-
How can I bond with him if I have to work and take care of the family and
Doesn't matter. When you come home, you can bond with him.
I'm working 16-hour, 15-hour shifts.
That's an excuse. It's an excuse. Exactly.
So, Mr. Gamboa, what happens to this relationship if Dominic is not your biological son?
If he's not my biological son, I have to walk away from the marriage because I don't. I mean, that she was just lying to me the whole time with the babysitter sleeping in the room. Like, I mean, from my own stepfather calling me and telling me and her believing. Why would you believe the babysitter?
That's he say, she say. You should believe your wife, or you should come
Well, how
to
come
your
you
wife
didn't?
and ask.
How
your
come
wife.
you didn't call your husband at work and say,
I
"Hey"?
did call you. I did call you. You didn't answer the phone.
And so, Ms. Gamboa,
I even left a message for him saying that he
if
was there.
I'm pretty sure I would
Dominic
answer if a man was
is not
sleeping
his
in my room with my
biological
wife.
son, do you want to make this marriage work?
I'm saying now, and I'm telling you right here, right now, if he comes out to be your son, you need to get help. You need to get counseling for your trust issues. We need to do marriage counseling, or you know what? I'm gone. I can't do this anymore. I cannot put my 2 sons with him. in this. I cannot
I
put
mean,
my
it's
other
kind of
4
hard.
children in this.
I think
need
that you
to-
need the same kind of counseling because when
I
you bring
just said that.
two
I
men
said
into
we
the
need
same
to do
house with
marriage
your own
counseling
kids.
together. If we do not agree on marriage counseling, then there is no marriage.
All right, well, I think it's time for the results. Thank you. In the case of Gamboa v. Gamboa, pertaining to whether Raymond Gamboa is the father of 1-year-old Dominic Gamboa, it has been determined by this court that Mr. Gamboa, you are his father.
Thank you. Thank you. Bond with him. That's your baby. Bond with him. No more excuses. Bond with him.
Yes, I will. I will be his father.
So, Mr. Gamboa, your fears have been laid to rest. That is your son, beautiful, handsome son, and you've now missed out on 1 year of his life being emotionally and spiritually absent. I commend you that despite your doubts, you still stepped up to the plate and took care of your family. I agree with your wife, you all need some counseling.